afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the call today with Vice President Technical Director Carlos Bocanegra, and then following him we'll have Head Coach Gonzalo Pineda as well. But we'll start with Carlos. He's going to make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions. Just remember it's a webinar, so use the raise your hand function and call on you as quick as we can. But with that, we'll head to Carlos first. Go ahead.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everybody, for joining. First and foremost, just want to say thanks to all the players that we've had to let go and move on from. They all contributed to our season, so we really appreciate that, and thank you for that. I was just saying I was thanking the players, but we came up against a tough New York team in the playoffs that knocked us out, and unfortunately cut our season a little bit shorter than we were hoping on our playoff run. But we are very proud of the players and the staff and everybody here at the club that pulled together and made a good run at the end of the season. Unfortunately, like I said, we didn't quite reach our goals of getting to the championship game and competing for that this season. But we're really excited for next year. We get to keep most of our group together. We've got the ability to keep the core group intact and build upon a really good second half of the season and a really good mentality leading into preseason next year. So I'm happy to answer questions now. So Justin, if you want to flip to that.
Sure, we'll take the first question from Doug. Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Carlos, just a couple of questions about today's news regarding the roster. Why did the team decide not to exercise the option on Alec, and why did it exercise the option on Franco? Is the plan for him to rejoin the club and play, or is it just to strengthen negotiating?
Yeah, so obviously today is the roster decline deadline for, the option decline or take deadline for the entire league, as you guys saw. So we had to make some tough decisions on all the guys, but the specific ones you asked about, Doug, you go to Alec, we declined his option, but the club is still in discussions with him. And with Franco Escobar, he'll be returning from loan from Newell's. And he'll be under contract with us for the next year. We still have a lot of decisions to make on that. Our roster is not set at this moment, so we don't have the final answers on that. We do have a lot of depth and competition in the back line. Franco's obviously a well-known entity in this league, and we've had quite a few inquiries and interest in him. So we've got to make some tough decisions, before we start the season at the end of February next year.
Next question will go to Felipe.
Thank you. Hey, Carlos, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
So is the club preparing for 2022 without Barco? And my second question, just what is the expectation this next season for Jürgen Damm? He's on a big contract. No goals, no assists in 2021. And can you perhaps tell us what the length of his contract is? But more importantly, what do you guys expect to get out of him?
Yeah, so with Barco, look, he's under contract with us. Whether he's here or not next year, that's still to be determined. He's a player that has expressed interest in going overseas, and we also believe he has that ability to make that move. So that's something that will be determined this offseason, but nothing is set in stone at the moment. And then, with Jürgen, look, I think he'll be the first one to hold his hand up. He wants to contribute more and would have liked to help the team in more ways than he was able to this year. We did a formation change, obviously, as you saw in the middle of the season, playing more 5 in the back, and that does not suit his style. Towards the end of the season, he was able to come in and help in situations when we had switched the formation. So, we'll see what happens with him in the future as well, and all of our guys, right? But Jürgen is under contract with us. He's got a good mentality, good attitude. Wants to fight for the position up there, and look, depending on how we play next year, for our entire roster is helping us shape what we're doing for next season.
Next question to Joe Patrick.
Hey, Carlos, I just wanted to kind of pick up on something that you mentioned there, just about the optimism that you picked up from this team in the second half of the season. And I just wanted to ask you kind of what do you identify as the strengths of this team, what you saw that you liked in the second half of the season specifically, and then also just kind of what are you trying to improve in the team just in terms of their qualities on the field with that are going to guide your decisions that you make in terms of players that you acquire?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I really enjoyed these guys fight. Some of our games that we were able to get results in weren't the prettiest, to be quite honest. And that's something that, we hadn't seen for a little while with this group, and really with our club in general in our history. Making sure we can get down and get in that dogfight and get a result when we need it. And so, I know the quality we have, and we saw that throughout the second half of the season. Not maybe as consistently as we would have liked, but we feel really good about the quality of the team. I like that they were fighting for each other. Like I said, they were grinding out results that we needed to. Our backs were against the wall the second half of the season. They time and time again stepped up and got the results and actually got us in quite a good position competing for 3 points out of second, third place. So that was excellent to see from the group. Now, what we'd like to add is similar to what we spoke about last time. Can we add a veteran or two to the roster to give us a little bit more game understanding, game management, the understanding of the league, situations, things like that to balance out some of the youngsters that are young, hungry, ready to fly and go forward every time, or sometimes we need to put our foot on the ball. Guys that can be a little bit more vocal on the pitch in certain positions. So those are the things that we're looking to build upon. But we're extremely happy with this group, and like I said, we're pretty fortunate that we get to keep the majority of the core together for next season. So we're going to build on that, and we have a full preseason with Gonzalo and this group, and he really gets to sink his teeth into them.
Next question to Rob Street. Rob, go ahead.
Hi, Carlos. How would you assess Josef's season, and what would you say that your confidence level is? He can still be that type of player to carry an offense like he was, 2 or 3 years ago, and how will that shape your mindset this offseason?
Yeah, so our confidence is really high in Josef. There was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes with him and his knee and his struggle to get back to full fitness with that, the pain that he was carrying, some of the complications as, he was coming out of surgery and the knee just not quite getting back to where we all thought it would be as quickly as possible. So he still, we thought, was able to contribute with goals and do a good job with that, but as you guys saw, he could not play at his level, I guess, the level that we're all used to, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, kind of 3 games in a week. And so we did have to manage that. And that's something in the off season as well. He understands it. It's an important off season for him. Let's really, focus on the rehab and getting his knee and his body back to full fitness and shape. But that's a little bit of the discussion that we've been having. But no, we're confident in him. He's spearheaded our attack, since we started this club. He's a fighter. He's a big personality in our locker room. He drives the team on the field. So we're looking forward to him having this offseason to recover, to recoup, and a full preseason where he gets that under his belt, where he's not having to pop in and out and being rested and recover and not get to have that full flow for the preseason to set him up for success. So we're looking forward to having Josef back and that infectious smile that everybody loves to see.
Next question to Doug.
Hey, Carlos, thanks again for doing this. I know that the club has received inquiries about George Bellows. Has the club received any concrete offers for Bellows?
Thanks, Doug. No, we haven't considered that. And then I'll go to your other question. So, yes, we've had quite a few inquiries about George Bellows. Obviously, he's 19-year-old left-sided player that's very dynamic, very athletic. Caps with the national team, 30, 40 professional games under his belt. So you can imagine the type of interest that he's garnering. So again, he'll be a tough decision for us in the off season, and like quite a few of these other guys that we have. So who was the other one you were asking about?
Justin, can you, was it Miles and Barco, or can you open up those real quick?
Yes, concrete offers for Robinson and Barco.
Yeah. No, so Miles, we haven't had anything. Barker, we've had quite a bit of interest in him, like I said. So I'm not going to, Doug, to be quite honest, I'm not going to go into all these details over a web call or a press conference with you guys like that. There's quite a bit of stuff that one, it's not fair to the player, but also other clubs that are involved. So, but yes, there's been quite a bit of interest. It's great. Look, we get this all the time. I think this is part of it. Players come to Atlanta United. They want to continue their development path here and then have an opportunity to potentially go overseas or move on somewhere else. So we're used to this. This is stuff that happens all the time in the off season. I think, it's exciting. It's exciting for the players. It's exciting for the fan base. And so it gives us really tough decisions to deal with in the off season, but this is part of it for us.
Next question to Felipe, then we'll go back to Joe.
Carlos, I'm curious. Two questions. I'm curious. First of all, how do you counsel these players that are receiving European interest or interest from abroad, specifically a year before World Cup? When you're talking about George Bellows, who is sort of in and out of camp, but has a big chance to be in Qatar as a left back. So how do you counsel them? And then my second question is just on Josef and that striker position. Is the club looking to solidify that position behind Josef? If he's not ready to go, if he can't be fully fit, that seems to be a hole that you guys have had the last two seasons.
Yeah, so look, as far as it's not necessarily counsel. I know what you mean with saying that. It's we try to have conversations with the guys that this is part of it. They also understand the world of football. These guys, with the Twitter accessibility and the news and the information that all these guys get, whether it's transfers, rumors of transfers, club needs, that's out there now. So that's just something that's a part of the world we live in. I think it's trying to make sure everybody has the right head on their shoulders. Yes, there's always going to be interest in the players, but if you're focusing here and now on what's most important, you do well, you're going to get opportunities. So I think that was something that Barco, I thought that was really interesting from him. But coming back from the Olympics and just he was flying, really looking after himself, doing everything very well, concentrating on the field, off the field. And so, all these guys, Barco, Josef, Bellows, everybody who gets interest, it's just making sure, hey, let's stay focused here. If the team plays well and you do well, there's going to be plenty of interest and plenty of opportunity for you. So it's more that type of conversation. And the coaching staff and the support staff, everybody does a really good job with that to help keep everybody grounded here with those opportunities. And then, yes, with Josef, look, we potentially look to add somebody to the roster for some competition up there. We still have Jackson Conway on the roster, Eric Lopez on the roster, and maybe we'll look to add another one. But we're trying to have competition around each position.
Next question to Joe Patrick.
Carlos, I wanted to ask you about the goalkeeper position, considering that there's only really one in Brad, who's currently on the roster. Last we heard is that the team is still under discussion with Rocco Rios Novo. That was comes from Atlanta United too. considering he did make some appearances for the first team, is he in the discussion to possibly be signed to an MLS contract? And just generally, what do you think of the prospects of him returning to Atlanta?
Yeah, look, we think he's a fantastic young prospect. We think he still has some room to grow, some room to develop. He did a nice job, as you guys saw, when he stepped in with the first team and played in Champions League, and he stepped up to the plate there. He did a good job with the second team this year in the development. So those are ongoing discussions as well at the moment. And then, like I said, with Alec, yeah, we're still in discussion with him.
Next question back to Doug. Go ahead.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Carlos. When was Santiago Sosa's surgery? If you could just give us a little bit of timeline on that. And are there any other players scheduled to undergo anything, knee cleanouts, ankle cleanouts, anything like that between now and training camp? And when do you know, have you set a date on when training camp is going to start?
Yeah, so Sosa had surgery, what's today, Tuesday? No, he had surgery Monday. He had surgery yesterday morning, and on a sports hernia as we put out. So what we'll do with him is, during his recovery process over the next few weeks, we'll be able to assess him and then give a better timeline, but he'll use the offseason to recover. It's obviously, like you said, the ankle cleanouts, the scopes and things like that. This was the time to do it, so these guys have the full offseason to recover, and then we can have a better timeline for their re-entry into the start of next season. And no, at the moment, we do not have anything planned for other players.
Next question to Felipe.
Thank you, Justin. Carlos, you mentioned previously about some veteran players coming in and really sort of adding leadership across the lines in certain positions. Is the midfield a priority? And does Sosa's off-season recovery make that a priority to sort of strengthen the midfield, be able to control the midfield? You mentioned putting your foot on the ball. That seems like a key position in order to do that. Are you targeting the midfield as an area to strengthen? And then finally, just, what are some of the discussions you're having with Gonzalo as far as establishing what the style of play, what the identity, if you will, of this particular Atlanta United team will be moving forward?
Yeah, so look, I don't want to take away from the guys on our team now. I think we've got a lot of guys that do a really good job, and we talk about leadership, and they have leadership in different ways. So it doesn't necessarily need to focus on the midfield. Will we add someone to the midfield? Maybe. Will we add some up front? Maybe. We need to figure out and plug these holes and figure out what works for us within the cap and the movement that we will make. So that will be a factor in it. But you guys understand that, the MLS experience and guys who have played in big games and, that adds a little bit something different in the locker room. And so we've got a very hungry team and a very talented team and a team that has some good leadership. We're just trying to supplement that because we think we had a great second half of the season. And again, we would have loved to kick on further. Lost to a good New York team where we didn't have our best performance, let's be honest. But these guys put in a shift to get us to where we were. And, sometimes you fall short. So I'm more speaking about that little hints of players around the field, in the locker room, around the club. We're still young, 5 years going on our 6th year. We need some of those guys to help with just the understanding of how seasons go, the ups and downs, the tough parts. And, now our group this year, we'll have this whole experience together and have a better understanding, and then we can add maybe one or two that really do understand and have been through it, multiple times. I think that can be a real benefit to our club and the squad.
Next question to Doug.
Hey, Carlos, I know you can't say how much money y'all have in the salary cap, but how would you describe the team's financial situation in terms of being able to sign veterans or a few other players?
Yeah, so on that, Doug, we'll see again. there'll potentially be a few moves made, but I think the most important part is that we're going to be able to keep the core of the group together. And so, there's not necessarily a set number because it's fluid, but we'll see when some things happen. But the core will be together.
All right, last question. We'll go back to Felipe. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just my follow-up. The conversations that you've had with Gonzalo, Carlos, how have those been heading into this offseason? What is it that the both of you want to establish here in Atlanta moving forward, as far as just from a football perspective, from a sporting perspective, and from a product on the field perspective? Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that one. No, look, I think the type of team Atlanta United wants to be, and the discussions we had before he came in and were our coaches, is on the front foot, attack-minded, dominating, exciting to watch. Right? I think that's something that we've tried to brand ourselves with, and also tried to put on the field with the type of players we bring in. So we want to be enjoyable. We want to be a good experience, and so. Yeah, when we're talking about the offseason, what formations, where do we think we can put our best players in their best positions to be successful, right? And, we always talk about the type of profile then dictates the style of play you can have. So those are the type of discussions we've been having. Also, if we're able to acquire this person, what does that mean for that person? So it's not separate, as I know you guys know. It's one and the same, but we're talking about being on that front foot, being exciting, being high intensity, an enjoyable experience for fans to watch in the stadium and on TV. We have that quality now, and now he's going to have the preseason to start implementing little bits. And I'll let you ask him that question specifically, if he wants to get into the tactics or not with you. But we're talking about our different formations. Like I said, our different positions where we can put our guys to have the best chance to be successful. So those are the type of conversations we're having right now. And as our roster starts to shape up and get a little bit closer to the start of preseason in middle of January, then we'll be ready to hit the ground running.
All right, that'll conclude Carlos' part of the call. Thanks, Carlos. We'll have Gonzalo up next at 1:30.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gonzalo. We'll now open it up for questions for Gonzalo. Start off with Doug. Go ahead.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Gonzalo. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Are there specific position groups that you hope to strengthen this offseason? And what is your goals for the team during this offseason?
Hello, Doug. I had a very good Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. I hope you had the same. Yes, there are specific positions that we want to improve. Yes, probably. There are a lot of moving parts. You know how the off-season operates. Like there are transfers, there are interest in players, there are some rumors about players coming, and we always want to improve the team. I think that's normal in every club. So obviously we have certain targets that we discuss with Carlos. Sometimes that can be delivered. Sometimes it's not the case because of the moving parts. But yes, obviously we want to improve the team in certain areas. I would like to say too that I'm very happy with the squad that I have. I'm very confident that this squad can do great things. It's again availability and contracts and interest and all that stuff. But I'm very happy with the players I have. I think it's a very complete squad in general. You never can expect to be perfect and have every little position covered 100%. There's always issues with certain positions. That's normal in football. But I can tell you that I'm more than happy with what I have now. What are my goals is obviously winning. I think that's a goal for every coach, every team. But more than that is to be the team that deserves to win and to create a culture in the team that we fight, we compete at the best of our abilities, that we set the standard higher for our franchise, and we're able to win trophies for this club. I think that's the goal. obviously my focus is on working on the performance and trying to make sure that the team is up to the standard that we want.
Next question will go to Joe Patrick.
Hey Gonzalo, thanks for taking the time today. I wanted to just ask you if you can kind of describe the relationship that you've had working with Carlos in making some of these decisions that were announced today. I know that your role is technically as the head coach, and that that's kind of to separate some of the managerial or roster making decisions. But did you have meetings with him about what you wanted to do to kind of help formulate the squad this offseason?
Yes, we have meetings. I think my relationship or the relationship we're building, I mean, we don't have a long relationship with Carlos because I've been here only for 4 months, but the relationship that we are building, I think, is a very open discussions relationship where we are very transparent to each other. We all discuss things, thoughts in behind our decisions, and I think it's a very close collaborative relationship with Carlos. So obviously we talk a lot about how we want to play, the style of the team, the ethos of the club, what the club wants, which is in line with what I want as a coach, how we can improve the teams, what are the movements that I want to have, the options I want to have off the bench, the different tactics that can work in MLS. So we talk a lot about all those variables, young development players, veteran players, all the different situations in a roster movement. I think we discuss very openly. So I would describe as my relationship with Carlos as very good and collaborative relationship.
Next question to Felipe.
Hey Gonzalo, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Do you think in this preseason, I mean, I felt like the last 4 months you had to balance a lot of different variables, that a lot of different factors, and you're trying to get the team up the table, you're trying to establish your own identity. Do you feel like in this preseason you'll put even more on the players as far as tactics go, and just have the time to do a deep dive on how you want this team to play?
Yes, Felipe, thank you for the question. I think that's the hope that I have, is that with this time in front of me, it's a great opportunity to really probably pass a better message to the players on how we want to play, why we want to play in that way, and how I can also find the solutions from the players. I always tell this because, yes, I have ideas. I have influences from different coaches in my career, from coaches now in the world doing great things. But obviously, I have to coach what I see in front of me, which is the players and the different connections that they can get on the field and the training sessions. We have to be alert to see those connections and how we can take those solutions that they bring on the table to put it for the team. But I think overall I would try to pass my message in a more clear way where the players know the roles, the responsibilities on and off the field, and we have the style of playing in line with what we want. So I think yes, that's this preseason is going to be a key part of my time here in Atlanta, so we can really improve on the style of play and the tactics in behind to play the type of football that we want to play.
Next question to Allison Mastrangelo. Allison, go ahead. Allison, your line should be open. You just might have to unmute.
Okay, I got it now. Hey, Gonzalo. I was more so curious. I know you didn't have a full season with Atlanta United, but what did you learn about yourself just as a head coach this year?
Well, hi, Alison. I think it's a very good question. I haven't been able to reflect a lot on that. I've been very busy. But I would say that is my first experience as a head coach. I think I had to go through just that process of trying to improve the team in that period of time where probably the results were not great, and try to help the team to just be in a different mindset and just trying to get points as much as we can. So I learned I can be adaptable to different situations, that I can adapt myself to tough situations, and that I can respond in a good way. but also that I need help. That is good to delegate. It's something that I learned because I have a lot of help from my assistants. I never get tired to credit the assistants I have, and it's not just Rob, because we all talk about Rob. For sure, was a big part of it when he took over for many games before I was the head coach. But it's also Ryan, and it's also Jack, and it's also Ricky, and then Diego came in, and Liam, and all of them contribute a lot to what we do with Atlanta United. And I think delegate responsibilities, let good people to do their jobs, was something that became very important for me in this period of time.
Next question to Doug.
Yeah, Coach, next year, no Champions League, really only just the league to focus on, and it's a weird schedule in that you only have 5 midweek games all season. Do you like this schedule? How is it going to help you prepare the team, or do you not like the schedule because it's almost one game a week most of the season?
Yes, I like that the schedule. I think is better, not just for me, but for the players. I think they need some rest, and sometimes last year especially was a crazy calendar for players, and when they go to international duties, we saw that with Miles. At some point, I felt that Miles was mentally tired. He's an animal physically. I think he's tremendous, very robust player in terms of fitness. But mentally he looked tired for me. Like he needed a little bit of a break. So this calendar helps on that. I would like to add that we also have Open Cup, and I'm keen on winning that trophy for sure. But I would say that this type of calendar gives us more time to prepare every game, to recover players from after the games. They have a natural process in their bodies to recover from the last match. And then we are able to work also in improving the fitness and create more robustness, and also improving in our tactics and game model principles. So I would say that yes, I'm very happy with the schedule, and hopefully this can also help a young group of players to have a little bit of a revenge from what happened the last game against New York City.
Next question back to Felipe.
Gonzalo, you mentioned earlier in the season that you were focusing only on the current roster. Now we're in the offseason, so I'm going to ask you again, have you spoken with Diablo? Are you preparing for his arrival in January? And have you thought about this team without Ezequiel Barco?
Well, I would like to keep the same statement, Felipe, until it is not official, any movement, whatever are the rumors. I would like to stick to what it is official. And until I don't know by my front office and as an official, notice that we get a new player, or we sell a player, or there is a player that is transferred to a different club, I don't want to talk about anything about that because it's unrealistic. I'm sorry that I cannot share any of those informations, but for me are just rumors. What I know is what I have until now, and after that I have to plan ahead with this. Obviously, as I said, off-season is always about moving parts and about, things where can happen or cannot happen. Sometimes you are wishing certain things happen, and at the end of the day it doesn't happen. So I cannot plan my methodology and my preseason based on that. I have to try to plan with what I have now, and that's what we are doing. Obviously, having in the back of our minds the certain areas where we can improve in terms of players or we can add. But I'm sorry, I cannot share any more information about other players that are not in the current roster.
Next question will go to Oscar Gallardo de ESPN.
Thanks, Justin. ¿Qué tal, Gonzalo? Buenas tardes, Oscar Gallardo. Me gustaría preguntarte por la situación de Jürgen Damm, como lo has visto. Carlos Bocanegra comentaba hace unos momentos que si bien han cambiado de formaciones y al final pudo participar un poco más, pero ¿qué esperas de Jürgen, un jugador que cuando se firmó venía con un gran cartel de Tigres, pero al parecer ha quedado de ver? ¿Cómo lo has visto? Gracias, Gonzalo.
Sí, ¿qué tal, Oscar? Sí, un poco lo mismo. Yo creo que Jürgen, cuando yo llegué acá, me fue muy difícil cambiar de la línea de tres que venía funcionando un poco ya con Rob. Y sentí que tocar eso no quería desestabilizar más al equipo y hacer un cambio drástico de la línea de 3 a la línea de 4. Y creo que en esa formación la única posición que encontraba para Jürgen era de carrilero y no creo que sea su mejor posición. Entonces, a lo mejor fue un poco el tema de la formación táctica o la estructura táctica que utilizamos que no le permitió a Jürgen los primeros partidos conmigo al cargo tener muchos minutos. Después, obviamente, llega también Luis Araujo, que es otro jugador importante para nosotros, casi que en la misma posición que él, y la verdad es que lo hizo muy bien también Luis. Pero al final del torneo, cuando comenzamos en algunos partidos a cambiar a línea de 4 en los segundos tiempos, Jürgen me hizo un muy buen trabajo como extremo derecho, sabiendo las cualidades y capacidades que tiene Jürgen en el mano a mano, su desequilibrio. Pero algo que me sorprendió de Jürgen, que a lo mejor no lo tenía tan visto, es que también tiene un gran sacrificio defensivo y que me ayudó en momentos a venir a defender a los laterales que pasaban, a ganar duelos individuales por arriba, a venir a pelear cada pelota, aunque obviamente lo que más espera uno de Jürgen es su desequilibrio ofensivo, pero creo que es un jugador con mucho potencial que si nosotros cambiamos en otra estructura seguramente estará compitiendo por un lugar en el 11 titular porque tiene unas grandes características muy valiosas que hoy en día en el mundo casi todos los equipos buscan extremos de esa naturaleza y no soy la excepción. Me gustan mucho ese tipo de extremos que pueden ganar en el mano a mano y entonces Jürgen, esa es un poco su situación actual, que veremos si decidimos cambiar a otra formación, si eso le puede ayudar a él o no en ese sistema.
That question was about Jürgen Damm. Gonzalo, do you want to just summarize briefly in English for the rest of the call?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was saying that when I first came to Atlanta, we were playing in a back line of 3, and the only possible position for Jürgen in that shape was as a right-sided wing-back, and it's probably not the best position for Jürgen. But after that, in the second halves, where we start to switch to a back 4, he was helping us a lot when he was playing as a natural winger in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, and he was very good and very valuable for us with his skills, especially the attacking skills, the 1v1, getting to the end line. So he did very well in those moments. So now, looking forward, if we are going to probably change to a different formation, if we decide that, he probably has still value for us because he can be a very good winger for us, someone that is a natural winger and provide something different to other players. So we will see if that is the case, if he still can produce even more for this franchise that he has done. I mean, that's where I see Jürgen.
Thanks, Gonzalo. Next question will go to Felipe.
Thank you. Gonzalo, how do you want this team to improve on the field? I mean, I know you don't have to get into too tactical, but with new players potentially coming in that may provide a little bit more experience, you had some really experienced sides in Seattle that, that's why some of the reasons why they were so good. Do you expect this team to sort of grow up in the preseason? And how valuable do you see MLS experience in certain parts of the field that can help this team?
Yes, I think that's a very good question because there are a lot of factors to that to answer that question. On the soccer side, I would like this team to improve on creating more and better chances. I think we saw that for a few games, but in others we probably were not as good as we hope to be. But I would like the team to be even more aggressive when we are on the ball, trying to look to break lines all the time, trying to break lines, But the knowledge that I have from this league is that the transition is big in this league. So we, at the same time as we want to continue to be aggressive on the ball, try to create chances, try to break lines all the time, try to be very proactive and playing a very energetic style of football where everybody's playing and moving, playing and sprinting. And that's what the fans enjoy. That's what we all enjoy, to see a team that is always trying to attack, trying to penetrate lines at pace. After that, we need to maintain the control of the game, having some balance between the players that are just protecting the counter and try to regain the ball again, and then trying to continue the attack. So that's always the challenge on what is the best shape to do that, what are the best players to do that, offensively, defensively, the immediate pressure. So all those factors are going to be there the next year. That's a hope that with a long preseason we can work on those things. But also on the mental side, there were many games where probably we have a very young roster, a lot of young players that probably they are lacking some of that experience in the league and the last minutes of the games and set pieces, the importance of set pieces. Don't give the back when they're about to restart the play in the corner, for example. Closing down games, not just defending and parking the ball, but sometimes even with the ball, holding the ball in key moments, knowing how to win the game, having possession, maybe not attacking, but just having the ball. So it's just those key factors that I'm looking for to teach the players and to try to show them that is a good way to grow as a team. I think if we are able to do those two things, be more offensive, be more aggressive, be more clinical also in the final third, having more numbers, but also experience enough to close down games and make sure that we get the result that we want, I think we're going to be a very good team next year. But obviously we need to go through the process of preseason and hopefully get there very soon.
All right, with that, we'll conclude the call today. Thank you, Gonzalo. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we'll send a recording out this afternoon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.